Blog Talk Radio.
Hello, you are listening to another episode of Change Agents Hall of Fame. Tonight, the Course in Miracles connection. Course in Miracles was created in the mid-'70s, caught on extensively in the '80s and '90s, and continues to this day to have a large following. Thought to be a life-changing spiritual program, the material is said to be channeled from Jesus Christ. And even though by saying this it violates Christian doctrine, proponents of CIM say that it is compatible with contemporary Christian thought. Hello, Brave Wolf.
Hi, Linda. Yeah, we're talking tonight about A Course in Miracles, a spiritual path or a CIA manipulation device. And perhaps I will reiterate what you said. It was Jesus, the Son of God, speaking to a woman in New York City and at Columbia University, no less. A psychologist by the name of Dr. Helen Schucman, who began to channel Jesus in 1965. And only to her did Jesus speak. I don't know if she had some remarkable mystical ability. And I do believe in miracles, and I do believe in God, and in my sacred landscape and light. But I find it hard to believe that Jesus, the Son of God, would speak to a doctor, a psychologist from Columbia University, the same university that Margaret Mead came from, and the social anthropologists. It's just remarkable that in this one university, this one place in all the world, that Jesus, the Son of God, chose to reveal his innermost thoughts and wishes to a psychologist. Again, at a place where the CIA with MK Ultra and the industrialists and the financiers began the mapping out of the drug culture, the free sex culture, the consumer culture, all of these movements to create the world that we have today. So in 1965, Dr. Helen Schucman diligently, obediently took down what Jesus, the Son of God, said. And her words became the New Age religion called A Course in Miracles. And again,
and
to
what was
repeat
her
myself,
discipline? She was was she a medical doctor or was she a doctor of psychology?
Medical psychiatry, yes, psychology. Yes. And again, at Columbia University, this treasure house of illumination, LSD, Jesus, Freud, the New School, cultural Marxism, all together. And the first words that Jesus spoke to the doctor was, "This is a course in miracles. Please take notes." And then it all began. She began to channel this entity, Jesus, the Son of God. And millions believed her. Between 1965 and 1972, these years of Jim Morrison and MK Ultra, assassinations, drugs, upheaval, and as we've pointed out in many episodes of our radio, the social engineering of the Western mind. Between these years, 65 and 1972, she wrote down her inner dictation, and she heard this inner voice. And in 1975, finally, the book was released underground, A Course in Miracles. And again, millions believed her and believe her to this day. Oprah Winfrey, I'm not sure if our European listeners know who Oprah Winfrey is, but she is one of the top 5 richest women in the world. She has her own television station and magazines and is a media dynamo, and she promotes A Course in Miracles on her website and in her television programs. So this is how big A Course in Miracles has become. So maybe we can look at some of the ideas that Jesus channeled down into this woman in New York City. And I believe this was a religion created to blind us and to lead us again toward emptiness. So here's what Jesus said to the woman. God did not create the world. Instead, we, the sons of God, who are created in God's image, we made the world as a projection of a mistaken thought. So it was our mistaken thought that we were separate from God. And when we, being separate from God, we created the physical world. So the physical world is a mistake. And again, if others have listened to the Gnostic program we did, they will understand that this is, again, an old, ancient thought of that the world is a mistake. So Jesus told the doctor from Manhattan, the home of the social engineers, again, consumerism, existentialism, Marxism, imperialism, depleted uranium, war in Iraq, war crimes, this place. Jesus told the good doctor, the world is not real, and all the bodies within it are not real. We are not real. My dogs were not real. This is me talking, not Jesus. But nothing is real. This was the message from Jesus. The world is not real. Jesus, the Son of God, told the doctor that the physical world reflects the projection of our guilt, turning our backs on God. And this is me talking now. I don't think I ever turned my back on God. Jesus told the doctor that the physical world is a projection of our fear, that God will retaliate and punish us, even with death. So Jesus said his loving Father is not to blame for making this awful world. The Course in Miracles want to heal this separation from God. This is its catching point, to catch you, to bring you in. And here's the reason why. To forgive everything. To heal the separation from God, you must forgive all. Just forgive. Just allow. Don't judge. For nothing here is real. And again, you will see this same motif in the New Buddhism, this idea of high tolerance, that we must tolerate everything. And it's convenient, this religion. How wonderful for the masses. I'm sorry, Linda, go ahead.
Just saying, so Jesus comes across as an apologist for God and Christianity, and then
but in a deeper way, and not
yeah.
In a deeper way, he comes across as an apologist for the people who are controlling our society and abusing our society. Because this movement for the educated and for the masses is putting them into a false light so that they will never judge. They won't judge MKUltra. They won't judge the LSD experiments by Freud's disciples on children, and that is a fact. They will forgive and look the other way when our TV stars are rapists and pedophiles, and when our investment banks destabilize countries and ruin the infrastructure of the United States. So this is what Jesus is telling, is the apologist for, to telling us to forgive all of this. It's not our concern, because for nothing here is real. And then the Course of Miracles goes on to say that sin doesn't exist. Mistakes, yes, but not sin. Mistakes can be fixed, but there are no sins that are mortal or fatal or can destroy your soul. So we forgive you, pedophile, investment thief, depleted uranium, babies born deformed from a war that will bring the end of the Western ability to dream. It's okay. These are mistakes. They're not sins. And that's, I believe, the real reason that at Columbia these false spiritual paths were created. It was to keep us silent for what they were doing. Financially, with the wars that have become imperial nightmares and will end in the ruination of Western civilization. It's coming. It's not it's not Chicken Little I am saying that the sky is falling. This is happening. We are imploding from within. And this is how all empires fall. And for our European listeners, when America falls, it will take down many, many countries. And it will implode. It will fall into itself instead of exploding outward. And it will crumble in an implosion. It will crumble because of the spiritual infrastructure is false and is made of clay. And they purposely made all of these things so that we have nothing to hold on to and nothing to defend and nothing to say, no, I don't accept depleted uranium babies. I don't accept, and I am an adult and I know what you're doing and I don't go along with it. But we don't say that. And this is what I believe that this is the reason why they've created the false religions.
Well, one thing I did notice about preparing for this show, because I have heard a lot about Course in Miracles over the years, but I didn't really know that much about it or pay that much attention to it. But you and I discussed this, they operate on a kind of everything is, again, it's a battle with yourself. The real battle of good and evil takes place within yourself and with your own ego, because the ego is also conjuring up a lot of non-existent problems. And
your ego is your individuality.
Yes. Yes, but that is an illusion in this system that you want to get rid of. So it, again, isolates the person off with their own interior world, which becomes the entire world, stems from their relationship to their own mind, which is
a false interior world
system. Yes. And then the other thing we discussed is that they're based on a lot of platitudes that seem like profound wisdom, but if you really break them down in a way, they're circular. They're that kind of circular thinking that really doesn't say anything.
And Linda, a platitude is a empty phrase. When you say the word platitude, is to define it?
Yes. I think a platitude is considered...
Or is it more than that?
Well, I think the definition of a platitude is it's just a phrase that is like an axiom or a motto or things like that. It doesn't necessarily have to be empty.
These are code words.
Yes.
Right.
In general, there's not that much depth to a platitude.
Okay.
You know, it's like the type of things that are in Chinese fortune cookies that you get at restaurants. Now, a lot of times they don't have fortunes. They have platitudes, like if you travel, you will arrive, or something like that. That doesn't necessarily have a lot of meaning to it.
Mm-hmm.
But continue.
No, I think we can go on and say why they created these false religions, and we should touch on that. But perhaps we should talk about who the good doctor chose to help her bring the message out to the world. And she needed help at Jesus' message out to the world. And you would think that she would choose someone very holy, someone special, someone, filled with grace. But she chose another psychologist from Columbia. I mean, it's
interesting how it works that way.
Yes. And this man who helped her promote this new religion worked at Travis Air Force Base. Between 1971 and 1978, he also headed the CIA mind control project, MKUltra, Subproject 130. And that was for personality theory. Again, that is not speculation, that is a historical fact. 1971 to 1978, when they are promoting this, when Jesus is talking to the woman, they are, he is with her to get this book published underground in 1975 to become the New Age Bible. He is heading the CIA Mind Control Project, MKUltra Subproject 130, personality theory. And that is personality theory is another way to how you can manipulate certain personalities in order to get them to go down a path. And the Course of Miracles, again, became enormously internationally translated and spread by Oprah Winfrey. And she promoted it on her television shows. And so I think that most people who are listening can together. And again, a reminder of the premises of the Course in Miracles. There is no sin. A slain Christ has no meaning. Never having sinned, you need no salvation. And again, forgiveness is all. We are not, this is not a real world. So I think that they set up a system in this MKUltra Subproject 130 in California, and again, California comes in with Esalen, and then at Columbia in New York City. They set up this project to see how they could take a certain group of the Western civilization down a path, a dead-end path. And there were other paths they took. At the same time, they took people down the drug path. There were all of these. We saw Margaret Mead and the Sexual Revolution path. There were all of these paths coming from one university. And for me, that is extraordinary. And I think, Linda, you were in the middle of a confluence, I think, in your life when perhaps three of these paths merged together, these false spiritual paths. Do you think you could talk a little about that with Freemasonry and the Universal, the Unitarian Church, and
well, I can,
Miracles?
yes, I can. But first I'd like to say that it's interesting that it's like they have to approach various vectors at the same time. So at the same time that they're working on a biochemical approach to altering perception, they're also working on the psychological approach and the physical approach and the cultural embedding of ideas and things like that. So, they really have a multidisciplinary approach to...
From one university.
Yes.
Yes, it's excellent.
From one university, which is the hub of it. But yes, I did, when we were discussing the show, I did relate an experience I had too, which I said I would repeat. And in preparing for this show, my memory circuits were tripped because I didn't really know what Course in Miracles was. I thought it was some kind of New Age Christian thought system, because I remembered back years ago to when I was in a private occult fellowship with a Masonic Rosicrucian bent to it, and we rented on a regular basis the basement of a Christian church. And I think it was a Unitarian church. I can't imagine it being any other denomination.
And a Unitarian church, again, just to brief everyone, is a church that accepts all ideas. It's fundamentally a Christian expression, a Western expression, modern, but that accepts everyone. And I believe this is also a spiritual dead end. So go on. I'm
yes,
sorry.
and I also thought Unitarian churches were Christian churches at that time. I really did not pay that much attention. And I thought it was funny, odd at the time, and looking back at it, I still do, that it was a Christian church, and it allowed us to basically set up a Masonic temple in the basement, and because our group, at the group's expense, laid out black and white linoleum tile over the basement floor so that we could make the trestle board floor, the Masonic checkerboard floor, and we also had our own storage, pretty big storage area down there where we kept our paper mache pillars. You know, we had the black and the white pillar that we took out when we met and set up, and we had a big wardrobe, walnut or some kind of wooden, big wardrobe where we kept our robes, and we had the aprons with the mercury, sulfur symbols, chemical symbols, and other ceremonial instruments and banners and all kinds of stuff that we kept down there. And I remember that back then the Course in Miracles met upstairs in the church part, the sanctuary part of the church, and that we would pass them, my group and their group would pass, and we would interface with them, coming and going from their meetings or ours. And they were always very cold and very standoffish towards us. They basically snubbed us. And at the time, my feelings were really hurt by it. And, I thought, it's because, they know we're practicing the occult, and they think we're, unchristian or anti-Christian, dark. And because they were very mainstream, very clean-cut looking people. And then in preparing for the show, I came to find out that they're occultists and that their teachings are based on channeling and working with the mind and, energy. And
that they were their leadership came from the CIA.
Yes. Yes. Well, you could probably say that about a lot of groups,
Yeah. Yeah, I think that story is very important to kind of explain that they are, as you said, they everywhere you turn, there they are. It's a cliche, but it's true. Everywhere you turn, there they are. I was at the movies the other night, strange to say, and very rare for me. And it was a space movie about a woman trapped in space. And what struck me as another projection of everything we're talking about tonight, these false paths, was what was embedded into my head during the commercials. Now, in the United States, I don't know how it is in Europe or Asia, but there are commercials before your movies. That is a strange... and previews of what of the television shows that are coming, and interviews with the stars. And then come the previews, hundreds of fast clip images, fast cut, of people shooting people in the head. I mean, these were brutal backwoods fights. And then the director would come on, and everybody knows who he is, and he would tell us why all this images of killing, of sadistic brutality is redemptive and has meaning. And I found absolutely no meaning. It was vile. And I wonder, there were so many teenagers in the audience. I was wondering what those fast cut images of literally of fights with and guns and killings and anger, what was that doing? That was their Friday night. And then the last preview was, for me, the end of Western civilization. It was the people who made this movie were saying, "You're gone. Western civilization, you are gone." And it was a group of washed-up actresses and actors. They wouldn't know they're washed up. It was a European-American family sitting around at Thanksgiving. And the lead woman, the head of the family, was a drug-addicted, narrow-minded woman who spoke her mind about everything. And it was the setting was a Thanksgiving from hell. Everyone was returning in the family, and there were it was dysfunctional, there were betrayals, hates, strange loves. I had seen this kind of movie 3 years ago, 4 years ago. It seemed like this motif of a dysfunctional Western European family, American, keeps replaying over and over again to make everyone to say, look at these people. This is what
pathetic.
European American civilization. Yes. And then I remember my last Thanksgiving with Yana, and it was quiet, and I'm divorced, and but my Yana had a day with her family and love, and that strengthened her. And I saw it, and I knew it, and it was peaceful. And that was, for me, reality of Western civilization. And again, when I... sitting there, I thought, with A Course in Miracles and all of these false paths, the movies are the same. That these are all the Course in Miracles and these other Gnostic-influenced New Age pathways are all like the commercials and movie previews. They're there to shock us. Shock and awe, and then at the end, you don't know what to think. You think this is it. That's all it is. Nothing can be better. And then you're defeated. And I think all of these things, the story you relayed, and me sitting there at the previews of that movie last week, was to defeat us. And I have asked the question, is why? Why do they want to defeat us? Why those people at Columbia, these cultural Marxists, why did they come to defeat us and give us so many dead ends? And I think they must have been so afraid of our energy, our own light, to create this giant pornographic industry, the drug industry, the war industry, the criminal banking industry, all of this to defeat us. And I can only think that to do is,
I'm sure we'll continue to explore that question in future shows, and my answer to that is the general public must lose, always. lose the war, whatever it is. So we are out of time, and thank you so much for this show. And this show will be on Blog Talk Radio, iTunes, YouTube with graphics, and Podbean. Thank you, and good night.
Good night. Thank you, Linda. Bye.